Here are today's top stories. The MMDA bans provincial buses from loading and unloading along EDSA starting today. The Davao City Police investigates the explosion that rocked its explosives stockroom. Philippine News Agency and Turkey's Anadolu Agency sign a news cooperation agreement. And Malacanang expressed its condolences to the families of the victims of the Easter Sunday blasts in Sri Lanka.
Good day, I'm Rom Dulfa. Welcome to the PNA Newsroom. Our top story: provincial buses are banned from loading and unloading passengers along EDSA starting today. This as the MMDA started the dry run towards the closure of provincial bus stations along EDSA. Here's our report.
Provincial buses will be banned from loading and unloading passengers on EDSA starting today as part of the dry run for a ban on provincial buses. MMDA Command Center Head Bong Nebrija says the franchise of provincial buses is effective only from terminal to terminal, which bars them from stopping on EDSA and other major roads. No apprehensions will be made during the dry run, but the no loading and unloading rule will be strictly enforced. Violators will be fined at least 500 pesos. They may also face penalties for disregarding traffic signs, road obstruction, and snubbing the closed-door policy. The MMDA is hoping to close all provincial bus terminals in EDSA by June. Under the ban, bus operators will be required to drop off passengers at designated interim terminals like those in Parañaque and Valenzuela City in the north and Santa Rosa, Laguna in the south. The provincial bus ban is part of the MMDA's efforts to ease traffic in EDSA. For the PNA Newsroom, I am Miguel Hill. Malacanang has bared the matrix which shows the names of journalists and media organizations involved in an alleged plot to destroy the image of President Duterte. This after the Manila Times published the same matrix which the palace was supposed to release for the first time. Presidential spokesperson Salvador Panelo admitted that the president himself ordered him to release the matrix in a Malacanang press conference. Panelo floated the possibility that journalists and media organizations listed in the matrix could be feeding their stories to enemies of the state. Among the names mentioned in the matrix are members of the National Union of People's Lawyers, the Philippine Center for Investigative Journalism, and Rappler. Panelo says the matrix worked in such a way that a certain Bicoy, the source of these negative reports against the president, would provide stories to Vera Files President Ellen Tordesillas, who would later distribute the stories to the NUPL, PCIJ, and Rappler to write about.
Simple lang naman yan. Ang ibig sabihin, the source is Bicoy. Gumawa siya ng mga fake news. Pinadala niya, hindi nga alam kung sino. Obviously, ano yun, pseudonym lang. O kung sino man yun. Pinadala niya kay Tordesillas, pinadala naman ni Tordesillas sa tatlo. Tapos kinalat na nila. Yun lang naman ang ibig sabihin nito.
In a statement, the PCIJ said it has neither posted nor distributed any stories or commentaries on the narco-list videos of Bicoy. Rappler, on the other hand, called the Matrix story an example of how not to write an investigative report.
Presidential Peace Advisor Carlito Galvez urges top police officials of the newly established Bangsamoro Autonomous Region to help create a more conducive environment for the smooth implementation of the normalization track of the Bangsamoro Peace Agreement. Galvez says it is very important for the police and the security sector to fully understand the intricacies of the Bangsamoro peace process, saying a single miscalculation on their part could have a major impact on the region's peace and security situation. Under the EO, the PNP will be part of several transitional bodies. These include the Joint Peace and Security Teams, which will need at least 1,600 police personnel. The police will also be part of the soon-to-be reactivated National Task Force for the disbandment of the private armed groups. The BARM Regional Police Office, which is currently undergoing a transition, will soon cover the city of Cotabato and 63 barangays in North Cotabato that voted for the inclusion in the BARM. The Philippine National Police says the traditional observance of this year's Holy Week has been generally peaceful except for the blast that occurred at the Davao City Police Office last Saturday. The PNP attributes the peaceful observance of Holy Week to the strict implementation of Oplan Ligtas Samvac 2019. Meanwhile, the cause of the explosion in Davao City Police is still under investigation. PNP Chief General Oscar Albayalde earlier said the PNP has deployed 91,000 cops nationwide for route security target hardening and security operations in places of convergence and transportation hubs. 6 Filipinos trapped in war-torn Libya are now safe, and the PNP supports International Earth Day. More on these and other stories around the metro from Janice Cave.
The Philippine Embassy in Tripoli said 6 Filipinos trapped inside the capital of Libya are safe as conflict continues to escalate there. 18 other Filipinos working as nurses south of Tripoli were declared safe and evacuated, but they have refused repatriation. The embassy is offering repatriation for Filipinos who are still in Libya. Meanwhile, the PDP Laban filed a disqualification case against gubernatorial bet Ben Verdone, as well as cancellation of accreditations of Anwaray party list. PDP Laban Visayas Vice President Lutgarda Barbo and Tingog party list nominee Alexis Yu accused Verdone and Anwaray of campaigning at the senior high school graduation at the Eastern Samar State University in Giwan last April 2. Barbo accused Verdone and Anwaray of distributing envelopes supposedly containing money to the students after the graduation rites. On the other hand, Yu said Anwaray should be disqualified for violating election laws. In other news, the PNP joins the rest of the world in celebrating International Earth Day on April 22. PNP Chief Oscar Albayalde said the PNP contributes to the conservation of the environment by limiting water consumption in Camp Crame. The PNP implements energy conservation measures and uses solar panels in Camp Crame as an alternative energy source. For the PNA Newsroom, I'm Janice Cave.
Still to come, Malacanang expresses sympathy to the victims of the explosions in Sri Lanka. The Davao City Police investigates the explosion that rocked its stockroom containing explosives. More on these when the PNA Newsroom continues.
Ulat sa ginagawa ng presidente.
April 1, Lunes, Malacanang. Sa 36th Cabinet meeting sa Aguinaldo State Dining Room, pinulong ni Pangulong Rodrigo Roa Duterte ang kanyang gabinete at pinag-usapan ang may init na isyu sa bansa. April 4, Huwebes, Puerto Princesa City. Pinauna ng Pangulo ang 31st Annual Convention of the Prosecutors League of the Philippines.
As a former prosecutor, I understand the very important role that you play in the administration of justice, which unfortunately involves antagonizing lawless elements, hardened criminals, and their powerful backers. I also encourage the leadership of the Prosecutors League to work with the Philippine National Police, the National Bureau of Investigation, and the other relevant agencies to come up with solutions on how to better protect our prosecutors and families.
April 6, Sabado, Iloilo City. Dumalo si Pangulong Duterte sa 25th National Federation of the Motorcycle Clubs of the Philippines Annual National Convention. Sinabi niya na handa siyang suspindihin ang implementasyon ng Motorcycle Crime Prevention Act na mariing tinututulan din ng motorcycle riders.
I will try to convince the LTO to maybe hang on to it. I-suspend ko lang muna. Kasi it is not good.
April 8, Lunes, Malacanang. Nag-farewell call sa Pangulo si Argentine Republic Ambassador Jose Nestor Ureta. Nag-courtesy call naman si Japanese Ambassador Koji Haneda at Japan International Cooperation Agency President Shinichi Kitaoka. April 9, Martes, Holosulu. Pinangunahan ng Pangulo ang paggunita sa ika-77 taon na araw ng kagitingan sa Camp Teodulfo Bautista Memorial Shrine at binisita niya ang mga nagpapagaling na sundalo mula sa engkwentro kontra sa Abu Sayyaf sa Patikul, Sulu. Ako po si Secretary Martin Andanar at ito ang Duterte on Duty. Abangan sa susunod na linggo ang mga gagawin ng Pangulo.
Defense Secretary Delfin Lorenzana and Japanese Defense Minister Takeshi Iwaya had a meeting in Tokyo last April 17, in line with efforts to strengthen the country's defense relations. The latest visit of the DND chief in Tokyo is a manifestation of the continued robust relations between the Philippines and Japan. As Japan pioneers the Reiwa era, Lorenzana reaffirmed the DND's commitment to strengthen the strategic partnership between the two countries. Lorenzana also expressed appreciation for the turnover of 5 TC-90 aircraft and UH-1H spare parts and maintenance equipment to the Armed Forces of the Philippines from the Japan Self-Defense Force. Lorenzana also welcomed the scheduled goodwill visit of JSDF's largest destroyer, JS Izumo, this coming July, aside from DND's hosting of the 6th Philippines-Japan Vice Ministers' Defense Dialogue this year. The Davao Forum for Asia opened today its first conference in the Philippines. House Speaker Gloria Macapagal Arroyo led the opening of the forum, where about 300 business and industry leaders in the Philippines meet with their counterparts from China. The event aims to improve relations and goodwill between China and the Philippines. It is held in cooperation with the Federation of Filipino-Chinese Chamber of Commerce and Industry Incorporated and Philippine Chamber of Commerce and Industry. The forum is slated in Taguig City until April 23. Authorities continue to investigate the explosion that ripped through the stockroom of the Explosive Ordnance Unit at the Davao Police Office. According to Davao City Police Director Alexander Tagum, the explosives accidentally exploded for unknown reasons. These were the explosives kept in their custody as court evidence, including grenades seized from the Maute family following the Marawi siege. Tagum denied that the stockroom contains mixed materials for explosives. He, however, admits one of their problems is the proper storage of court evidence like a grenade, and they are working on their proper disposal. 8 people were killed in an accident at Cordillera during Holy Week. Meanwhile, 7 members of the New People's Army surrender in Davao del Sur. Benj Bondok with the story.
4 vehicular accidents occurred in the Cordillera, killing 8 and injuring 21 others. In Tabuk City, Kalinga, 8 persons were killed in a vehicular accident involving an Isuzu dump truck that fell into a ravine in Barangay Malinawa on Saturday. In Tuba, Benguet, 4 persons were injured after their jeepney encountered mechanical failure along Cannon Road. In Sablan, Benguet, a tricycle figured in an accident at Banangan, injuring the driver and his passenger. In Bontoc Mountain Province, a sports utility vehicle fell into a 20-meter ravine in Alab proper on Easter Sunday. In Davao del Sur, 7 members of the New People's Army surrendered to government troops during Holy Week. Earlier on Good Friday, an NPA team leader and their 2 companions surrendered, while 4 others surrendered last Easter Sunday. The surrenderers were reportedly part of the group that figured in a firefight with the 39th Infantry Battalion in Barangay Colon Sabak last April 1. They were convinced to turn themselves in after learning of the ECLIP program for rebel returnees. In Ilocos Norte, close to 500 runners and volunteers gathered in Zamboanga village early Saturday for its first fun run for a cause. The event was done for the benefit of 35-year-old Marifel de la Cruz Pascual, who was diagnosed with stage 3 breast cancer. The proceeds will be used for Pascual's treatment. For the PNA Newsroom, I'm Benj Bondok.
In our foreign news, multiple blasts which shook Sri Lanka on Sunday have left hundreds dead and more than 470 others injured. The morning explosions occurred when hundreds of worshippers gathered at churches to commemorate Easter Sunday. Explosions were reported from St. Anthony's Church in the capital of Colombo, 2 other churches in Katana and Batikaloa, 3 hotels in the capital and opposite the Dihewala Zoo. Another explosion has reportedly been a suicide bombing. There has been no claim of responsibility so far for the multiple blasts. The Sri Lankan government imposed a temporary ban on social media to prevent the spread of false information. Both Sri Lankan President Maithripala Sirisena and Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe have condemned the attacks and appealed for calm. Meanwhile, the palace is offering its sincere solidarity and heartfelt prayers to the people of Sri Lanka as it renews its commitment to boost ties. No Filipino was among the casualties in the string of bombings in Sri Lanka. Up next, the Philippine News Agency and Turkey's Anadolu Agency sign a news cooperation agreement. Phoenix scores their first win against San Miguel Beer in the PBA Philippine Cup semifinals. The PNA Newsroom returns after these reminders. The Philippine News Agency and Turkey's Anadolu Agency signed a news cooperation deal today in a move to bolster news and information exchange between Manila and Ankara. Here's our report.
The Philippine News Agency continually expands its global reach as it forges another partnership with Turkey's international state-run news media, Anadolu Agency. Anadolu Agency Deputy Director General Mustafa Uzkaya says he is glad to renew the cooperation agreement with PNA, the main and most important news source of the Republic of the Philippines.
This signing ceremony between our news agencies in Manila. As Anadolu Agency, we give importance to expand our global structure by developing our cooperation with news agencies.
PNA and Anadolu Agency have been partners in the last years with reporters and editors sent to Istanbul and Ankara for various journalism trainings. News and Information Bureau Director Gigi Arcilia Agtay cited the event as no less a recording of history as both agencies further their communication partnership.
For the confidence and initiative to make this long-planned MOA a reality. As Director of PNA, please receive my full support. Let us embark on this great partnership together and bear witness to this historical moment in sealing our commitment to deliver better and more engaging stories to the world.
Turkey's Anadolu Agency is a veteran agency more than half the age of PNA at 46. Delegates from the 99-year-old Anadolu Agency flew in from Turkey to sign the historic news exchange agreement with PNA. The Memorandum of Agreement will provide opportunities for exchanges of visits from our media practitioners and a platform to share the best practices in the newsroom. Meanwhile, PNA Acting Executive Editor Louis Morente also expressed gratitude with the news exchange agreement.
PNA has recently turned 46 last March 1, while Anadolu, our big brother, will be celebrating its centennial next year. This agreement is very timely as we will be marking our 70th year of diplomatic relations between the Philippines and Turkey. This was first established on June 30, 1949. We also take this opportunity to thank the government of Turkey, through its funding agency, the Turkish Cooperation and Coordination Agency, which is now providing various socio-economic development assistance all over the Philippines, including its valuable support to the peace process in Mindanao. We do hope the MOA signing today will fully establish a climate of peace, friendship, and cooperation, and put our two nations, particularly our news, to be more visible in the world map. This afternoon, we formally welcome our newest global media partner, and to our distinguished guests. Thank you very much, and good day, everyone.
For the PNA Newsroom, I'm Joyce Goodies.
In sports, Phoenix Fuel Masters bounced back in its PBA Philippine Cup semifinal series against San Miguel Beermen with a Game 3 win on Easter Sunday night. Clutch free throws from Matt Wright helped the Fuel Masters hold off the Beermen, which had a late comeback for their first ever semifinal win. Wright and Calvin Abueva each had 18 points for Phoenix, which cut SMB's lead in the best-of-7 series to 2-1, forcing a Game 5 on Thursday night. Junmar Fajardo put up 22 points, 19 rebounds, 3 assists, and 2 blocks for the Beermen. John Real Casimero took the vacant WBO interim bantamweight title after knocking out Ricardo Espinoza of Mexico at the Dignity Health Sports Park in Carson, California, USA. The World Boxing Organization ordered the bout due to title holder Zolani Teddy's inactivity. Casimero stunned Espinoza with a 12-round technical knockout to win the interim belt. Casimero now has 27 wins and 4 losses with 18 knockouts, while Espinoza dropped to 23-3, losing for the first time via a stoppage. In Calabarzon, the Department of Health proposed the establishment of a center that will cater to the health needs of seniors. Janice Cabe with the story.
The Department of Health has proposed the establishment of a senior citizens' house in every municipality where they can proceed for their regular checkup, take their medicines, and enjoy recreational activities. DOH Calabarzon says the house differs from a foster home since this will be a special center offering health delivery services and recreational activities. DOH plans to introduce traditional and alternative healthcare for senior citizens to enhance their well-being. During the 2-day Senior Citizens Health Summit held in San Mateo, Rizal, around 110 senior citizens received free medical checkups including urinalysis, blood screening, body mass index screening, eye checkup, and maintenance medicines for hypertension and diabetes. The DOH also distributed wheelchairs, canes, walkers, and 40 crutches for needy senior citizens. For the PNA Newsroom, I'm Janice Cave.
Let's now check out the weather forecasts for Metro Manila and the rest of the country. Here's another look at today's biggest stories.
The MMDA bans provincial buses from loading and unloading along EDSA starting today. The Davao City Police investigates the explosion that rocked its explosives stockroom. Philippine News Agency and Turkey's Anadolu Agency sign a news cooperation agreement. And Malacanang expressed its condolences to the families of the victims of the Easter Sunday blasts in Sri Lanka.
Thank you for watching another edition of the PNA Newsroom. To check out these and other stories, visit the PNA website or follow the Philippine News Agency on Facebook and Twitter. For more stories about the government and how it serves Filipinos, look for these hashtags on all our social media platforms and websites. And that's your daily dose of latest news and information that you need to know from the PNA Newsroom. I'm Rom Dulfo. Good day.